Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Public Works Committee meeting on Wednesday, January 25th. And I'd like to open up the meeting now. And we will start first then with the open forum for anybody in the audience who would like to discuss anything that's not on the schedule today. And seeing that there's no one here, I'd like to go on then to the item number 2, which is the second draft of the driveway standard. And this is, I guess, we're going to be discussion and recommendation to the council. So is that what you would like to talk about, Tom?
Basically what we've done is we've rewritten a version of the county policy on this to fit the city of Nisswa. Basically it calls out what culvert you can use and some dimensions of the driveway. Basically, we're trying to give a guideline to people so driveways would have a little more practical design to them so that we can get things like fire trucks in and things like that.
Yeah, and this is the second draft now, so what you want to try, is it that we want to try to get a recommendation for the council?
Yeah, if you, I don't know if you're, it's been a while since we've talked about this.
Right.
But if any of you have read this and see anything that you have a question about or I would ask for somebody to make a motion that we.
I
make
guess
this
my only question
recommendation.
was that it was you that put this all together, right, Tom?
Yes,
Was there any
I
other
had-
staff involved?
so I've been consulting
Joe?
with Joe.
Yeah. Are there any concerns that you might have at all with what you have written here? Yeah,
Would kind of sit there, so for a city versus the county, so maybe it's
okay.
But no, pretty much the county is kind of their stuff out. Going on the major highway.
Okay. And you don't have any concerns then, Tom, with this at all?
No, and what I would say to this is, this will be, once it's passed even by the city council, it can always be amended if something comes up that we've missed.
Yeah,
But right now we don't have any kind of a standard, so this will at least, like, say, for instance, culverts is one of the main things we're concerned about. And, if you drive around town, you'll see some people have culverts as small as 10 or 12 inches. Well, we're saying we need something larger than that as a minimum. So.
have you received any feedback at all from the public about this at all?
No, I guess I wasn't expecting a lot.
Mhm.
Most contractors are already doing a lot of this stuff anyway. It's more informational for people getting ready to build a new place.
Okay. Yeah, because reading through this, it seems, I'm not the expert on this, but it seems fine to me. But Galen, did you have any concerns?
I do. The one that I'm looking at is number 4 on there. Specifically the commercial entrances.
Turn yours on. Yeah.
The only one that I have a concern about is number 4, where it states that commercial entrances shall not exceed 32 feet in width. Is there a reason that's at 32 and not say at 50 or something above?
I'd personally recommend that to be smaller. I don't think they need to be 32 feet. 32 feet is the size of a road.
Right.
For commercial, and most of them have in and out, or they have a way to turn around semis when they're doing deliveries.
That's my concern from.
But the radius is more important than the width
Mhm.
of an entrance. But 32 feet, I mean, that would take care of the biggest commercial, like if I don't know, a place that's like a boat place or something that has really long trailers and need to have a little bit more room to get in and out. So there are some guys that maybe that would work. Do you want it big? You think it should be bigger?
It should. Having been a trucker for years, and if you're on a single lane road, where you can't swing out into the other lane in order to make that corner, and there's another truck sitting at that same entrance, you basically cut that 16 down, or that 32 to 16 feet. Trying to snake in a 70-foot long vehicle at a right angle at 16 feet, you're not gonna do
Oh,
it.
no. I think that 16 would be too small for commercial, but I just think 32 is, that's larger, I think, than the width of some of the roads that semis are making turns around.
Not at right angles. If you're trying to turn a 70-foot semi at a right angle on a 2-lane road and you can't get into the other lane because there's traffic coming the other direction, and there's a truck waiting to go out that's taking up half of that 32 feet, you're now cut down into trying to fit a 70-foot rig into a 16-foot hole
I get you.
on a 90, and it's too small.
Yeah, I guess that instance could happen. I'm wondering how many times it does happen.
More often than you'd think.
You
Well, then
drive.
that other
so-
truck goes out,
Yeah.
then you'd have all sorts of room, right?
But if it's a busy road and that truck waits there and there are trucks behind them, I could see the 32 feet if it was a designated entrance and a designated exit. But if they're using a common shared entrance and exit, that's too small. Especially if there's a culvert there where that trailer ends up dipping on the inside, they're gonna end up going into a ditch.
When there's a T intersection in the city,
Mhm.
that would be the same case because I think the roads are 28 feet.
Mhm.
So you'd have the same thing at a normal corner.
Right, but you typically have a larger shoulder at a corner. You have room on both, you have your road and then you have a shoulder on both ends. So you're gonna have a little extra room there. I'm just saying it would create a bottleneck at 32 feet. I've been in it more times than I want to count.
No, I obviously if you do it, you're a lot more expensive than I am. I guess that's a judgment call, but
To me, I'm wondering, is there a reason why you would want to say not to exceed 32 feet? Is there a problem if you go over?
I still think we're getting into the realm of it's larger than the roads to get there.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like, I would say, you don't put a smaller pipe on the end of a bigger pipe when you're flowing.
Mhm.
I mean, I could see like in a residential entrance, I mean, why even say, shall not exceed 20 feet? It would seem that a minimum would be more of a problem than a maximum.
You can have, a lot of people have driveways that are 10 foot, 12, mine's 12 foot.
Mhm.
I don't need that on
Right.
mine. But if you look in, and I come from the cities too. 16 foot would be your normal
Yeah.
for residential.
Mhm.
And I think it would be hard pressed to see past 32 for a commercial.
Yeah, and that's fine.
No.
Practically, it might work very well, but why put a maximum on it? Is there an issue about putting a maximum on it?
I'm not sure. The language that's here was borrowed from the county policy, and I'm
Yeah.
not sure what the county rationale was for that.
Okay,
I would say most of our city streets aren't as busy as a county road,
mhm,
but
you're
I
right.
kind of understand Galen's concern about it, but I don't know what to recommend on that.
What would you recommend, Galen?
To be honest, I don't know. That was,
Yeah.
it was something I was
But
concerned
but
about.
that's just too small from your experience.
Yeah.
For that, where you have trucks
Yeah,
waiting and
I
all
would be
that.
fine, I would be fine with 32 with the provision that there's a dedicated entrance and a dedicated exit. That's fine, but I don't know. Then you're talking a lot more money for a company to put into.
Mhm.
Would this be something that maybe would be handled as an individual basis? I don't think
Yeah.
we'll have in this law
Right.
a big calling for a lot of commercial entrances.
And
but
I agree.
when it comes up, maybe there is already an entrance there of a different one, or maybe there's a back entrance, or maybe there isn't, then that might be a reason that they have for making a larger one, but maybe if you keep it there and then if somebody wants, like you said earlier, you know, if somebody wants to come with a case that they had that
Right.
was reasonable, and you
Yeah.
could always make an adjustment.
As long as there would be exceptions to the rule for, you know, legitimate reason, then
You can always apply for a variance,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Kind of where number 5 comes in, where they can. If they needed something more than that, they could just come to you and you go out and look at it and say, oh yeah, that's a safety thing,
Yes.
you know.
We will be, we'll be making the same kind of determination on the storm sewer too. So they'll have, everyone will have a chance to have it looked at, reviewed. Sure.
What if you just took out number 4?
or what if
You-
we just took out the commercial portion of number 4? I'm fine with the residential. I don't see a reason why anybody would need to have.
Oh, okay, so
residential.
maybe then say that it shall, keep the residential as it is and say commercial entrances shall be determined, recommended not to go over 32 feet, but shall be considered case by case.
That's kind of what 5 says, though.
Mhm.
And public safety would be the biggest thing, and it's right in 5 that they can go to Tom and he can look at it, and if, you know, it looks like it's not safe, well, he has the opportunity right there to say, yeah, we can go to 50 feet or whatever.
Yeah, because with that, you could if they had a 40-acre tract, as long as it was wide enough, I mean, who knows how long it is in the configuration, but if they had a designated entrance and exit, the traffic flow would be, you know, could be considerably better.
Mhm. I'm just sitting here thinking to myself how to better word that or just to remove it
Yeah.
altogether.
While you're thinking of that, do you have any concerns on any of this, Cam?
Nope.
Okay,
I agree with Galen, but I think number 5 is. I mean, it would be a public safety thing to have trucks sitting, like you said, you know, you don't want to have trucks sitting on a busy road, so. I can't believe you were a truck driver.
Owned my own company for years.
Wow. I'm proud of the engineer.
Yep. Sold my trucking company, went to engineering school.
Wow, that's awesome.
What do you think about that, Joe? What would you?
Well, I'm still, I respectfully disagree, but I was trying to look up a commercial width for driveways that they have. Right. 50 is, I just don't see that in a lot of spots, but.
I mean,
No, I
I'm not
understand
saying
what
that
you're
it can't be done. I've just seen too many trailers tip into the ditch from people who tried to take a corner too sharp because there was a truck waiting to get out.
Sure. No, I get
And especially if you're waiting to get out and you want to go right, where are you gonna go in that slot to get out? You're gonna go as far left as you can. Well, you're gonna squeeze into that 16 foot that I was
Yeah.
talking about. And you might end up with only 8 feet to try to get in. Well, what if that guy got up there and for whatever reason he broke down? Now you're plugged up 3/4 of that 32 feet with a truck. It just, there are a lot of scenarios that I've seen that I'd rather avoid if we can, just by changing language. I'm sure you've seen it to a certain degree. Your trucks aren't quite as long in waste management, but the traffic flow is significantly better and safer when you have a designated intake and output valve, essentially. You don't have as many accidents. You don't have trucks sliding into each other when they go to turn a corner. It's just, everything is safer. You don't have people trying to look around a truck because you don't have to worry about it. So,
What if we just said commercial entrances will be evaluated on a case by case basis?
I mentioned that earlier too, and the reason, because you put the word commercial on it,
mhm,
that doesn't necessarily mean everyone's gonna be a semi driver.
agreed.
So
Agreed.
You have, you know, various different kind of, some might not even have any deliveries at all, you
Right,
know,
right.
But that's why I said maybe a case by case basis for that and maybe set it at 32.
Mhm.
And then if, you know, the owner, you know, wants to, like you said, a variance to make it larger, then at least we'd have a little bit of control over it.
Sure.
We'd be able to go out there and look at it and see if it's reasonable and, you know,
Right.
that type of thing.
And if the different road scenarios are, you know, create a different need
Yeah.
for entrances and exits as well. You know, a retail shop in downtown certainly doesn't need a 50-foot wide driveway. But if there was a large warehouse company that went in that had hundreds of trucks going in and out a day, it would be a completely different situation.
Yeah.
I like your recommendation on a case by case.
I think that's the best way for me to word that is to say commercial entrances will be evaluated on a case by case basis and not put a width.
Sure.
And then we can default to 32. And if they're gonna go above that, then we can, well, why?
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like the same thing we talked about with culverts too, with, you know,
The what?
with culverts or anything
Oh,
else. and
yeah.
it's- If they don't want to comply with this, it's not that it's that rigid, we can adjust, but why? You gotta justify it. I'll
It
change it
just
to
gives a
that.
little bit, it keeps, I would say it holds a little bit more control on the situation.
Sure. Yep. Yeah, as long as we're not pigeonholed into something, I'm good with it.
Huh?
As long as we're not pigeonholed into something hard and fast where we can't deviate from it if needed.
Oh,
Fine.
okay. I get that.
Anything else with that, or you think we're okay?
No. So for that, then do you want to maybe bring this up the next meeting, or else I'll go ahead right now with that change?
I think I would like to just have you make the recommendation with that change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless there's something more.
Okay, does anyone else have anything else to say about that then? Can I get a motion then?
I'll make that motion to accept it as is with the change that Tom recommended.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carry. Okay. Okay, then the next item on the agenda is curbside recycling, final draft of ordinances. Okay, so did you want to bring that one up again?
Yeah, sure. So this. This is the ordinance that we were working on the last time we met. This was done at the instruction of this committee. There was interest in having an ordinance or a curbside recycling ordinance put in place to help pull some of the volume off of our recycling site. I had curbside recycling ordinances forwarded to me, both from Pine River and Pequot, and I think I looked at a couple other ones too. And so all we did is we changed the language on that to fit Nisswa, and then we've been looking at that. Dre Logie with Waste Partners and had suggested a few minor corrections to that, and that was the purpose of having this second draft. Those changes are all in here. I don't think there's anything real earth shattering with any of them. Most of them were just terminology kind of related to
Mhm.
things with inspections on garbage trucks and stuff that we probably don't need to get too far into the weeds for the city. So I think those changes made some sense. And this would allow us to then, any garbage hauler operating in the city of Nisswa has to offer the curbside recycling.
Okay, yeah, so we have two copies of this one. The
Yes.
original and then the WP edits.
Yeah, so,
Wait, partner?
so what this is just so you could see what I changed. This is the revised, the newest edition.
Okay,
And the one where I have the WP edits, I just show you what was changed. You know, so you could see what I had, what I had added. Or removed.
okay. Do you have any concerns on this at all, or did you want to say anything?
There we go. Perfect. Yes, first, I really wanted to thank Tom for allowing us to kind of bend his ear a little bit. I think what you guys had was some good stuff. I think Pine River and Pequot had a good ordinance, but there was some boilerplate stuff in there that we went ahead and changed, and I think it was really good changes. I think if any hauler looks at this, they're gonna go, Nisswa, knows what they're talking about. They don't, you guys don't want to see every DOT file that we have on every truck and try to compile and keep that. We changed that to say, hey, if you guys ever want to see it, let us know. We'll give it to you, but you don't need to keep that on file. We made some good changes in there that I think is a testament to you guys really being able to go after this. A couple things that I just wanted to bring up for you guys. I think, of course, the ordinance is in good shape, but kind of the next steps, should you bring this to the city council, a couple things to keep in mind. Right now, you don't currently have a licensing process. So this is going to require that you require haulers to license with the city of Nisswa. I don't believe you currently have that process, right? I don't file anything with the city of Nisswa saying I'm a hauler in your city. In Pine River or Pequot or wherever right now, I file with them. I tell them, these are the trucks that are likely going to be operating in your area. Here's the day I'm going to be operating. And generally there's a fee associated with that. I think Cross Lake is $100 application fee, and you're, assuming you check all the boxes, that's what you get. So just an FYI, you might want to look at what that process would be. That might be a question that comes up at the council.
I think probably in light of that, I overlooked that. I apologize. But I probably would ask for the recommendation. See what would be the right way to word this. I want to come back with that licensing procedure probably for our next meeting and approve that.
Yeah,
So this would be contingent on that.
Sure.
If you could approve this contingent on that licensing procedure. And in that will be just basically the cost. Don't think
Yeah,
there'll be
and
a lot
again,
more
I
to
think,
it.
yeah, if you have contacts through the city or whatever, though, they have that process. You don't have to make that from scratch. Then the only other thing, again, just talking about what type of implementation date are we looking at here? I know we talked about last time, right? Loads of carts, trucks, equipment, people, all things that are a little hard to come by right now. So just looking at, are we talking about a January 1, 2024? Are we thinking we're gonna try to implement this mid-year? I'm just gonna say from a hauler standpoint, I think we're all in the same boat. Summer is our peak season. That's the hardest time to try to implement anything. So I think quite honestly, I guess I can't speak for all of them, but fall timeframe would be the absolute earliest I would even like to see something like this hit the ground running. Quite honestly, I think rolling into next year would be a great line in the sand, but again, just bring that up to you gentlemen. So thank you.
While you're still up there. Now, just from what I've seen in my business, we have quite a few delays for getting things. What are you guys seeing if this was to be implemented? And per se, you were chosen to be the new hauler. How quickly could you get the new bins? And if you needed to get another truck outfitted and all that, what type of time frame do you think is realistic?
Absolutely. So right now, just to clarify, as we're discussing this, you're not necessarily selecting a hauler for the city of Nisswa. You're allowing any hauler who licenses. Currently, right now, I ordered a truck back in June that I'm not going to see till 2024. So if you're looking at new equipment, it's a long ways out. I think a lot of the haulers that are in this area that would be providing these services have ways to get around that. We have spare equipment that could upfit that. City of Nisswa isn't 40,000 people where you're looking at adding, major things like that. I think right now, your biggest thing would be the carts or the bins, whatever the hauler would choose. Generally, those have a lead time of about 8 weeks, sometimes as far as 16, depending on where they're kind of sitting. A lot of us carry some on hand for things like this, but we might not have 200 on site kind of deal. And then, of course, the labor is the other big thing. Again, can't speak for the other haulers in this situation. We're already planning for something like this. We're looking at our routes and what that's going to entail, knowing that this is coming down the pipeline. So
Sure.
yeah, I think again, a January 1 date is extremely reasonable. If this passed within the next month or so, 8-10 months of lead time is very reasonable.
Is it difficult to deliver if you had a bunch of those containers or bins that you had to deliver, is it more difficult to deliver them in the winter time or does it not matter?
It doesn't really matter. No, of course, with winter comes the challenges of, where's physically the curb, where are you going to put this kind of deal? But no, other than that, it's no more difficult per se.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other concerns, Cam? Nothing
The
else?
only other one that I had question for you, Tom, was we had talked about where people were gonna put their containers. Particularly if they don't live here year round. And have we come to a conclusion of what we're gonna do about that yet?
As
Does
far
that
as,
change? Because you had talked about, some of your customers, you might have to go up to their house or something. Are we changing the language so that it's more conducive for them? Or are we leaving that up to the refuse hauler and the customer, or how are we
I
doing that?
believe that's how it's worded, is that
Yeah, right in that ordinance, it states that, mutually agreeable location between the hauler and the resident.
Okay.
Of course, yeah, just to bring up some background there, right? The city of Brainerd tried to implement, this is where your cart's gonna sit. That pretty much fell on its face.
Right.
They really just didn't enforce it is really how it came through, but we've tried to kind of set some of that stuff up, but I think a mutually agreeable location is best. If the city of Nisswa, of course, has concerns about certain ones, I think coming to the hauler with that concern is your best bet.
So while you're there, before you had provided a map. And that showed where you would be able to collect it. And that's with the current trucks that you have, right? So you wouldn't really necessarily, if we could do it to those areas, you wouldn't really need new types of trucks or anything like that.
Not necessarily a new type of truck. It just comes down to the volume and the capacity, of course, right? So some of our competitors choose smaller trucks, maybe they're a little more nimble, but they can't carry as much, things like that. That map specifically was illustrating where we could collect curbside versus where, down a certain road, maybe your recycle bin is going to sit at the end of that road, right? It's just kind of, where can we physically fit this vehicle? Industry wide, most recycle vehicles are volume based, right? You're never going to max that truck out in terms of weight per axle. But you need the volume because it's plastics and things that just don't compact. So they are most likely the size of a school bus is generally about their size. So yeah.
Okay.
And is this gonna be single stream?
This will be single stream. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That's kind of the direction industry has gone. Cass County currently is still doing a dual stream program and a lot of their recycle sites. There's absolutely benefits to dual stream. But when it comes to convenience, it seems like the consumer is definitely preferring the single stream.
Okay.
You do not specify that though in the ordinance. Sorry, just to let you know. So if for some reason the hauler would decide that they're only going to offer dual stream, they might offer that instead of single stream. That's not dictated by the ordinance.
Is that something you're interested
Mhm.
in putting into language, or should we just keep it between the customer and the hauler on whether they offer single or dual stream?
What would you prefer?
for ease of use, I like single stream, but I understand from a hauler standpoint why they'd want to go with dual stream.
Mhm. Me, I really don't have an opinion on that one. It's probably easier to be able to just negotiate between the hauler and the customer.
I think we should leave it as that, because you might have competing haulers. One says they're gonna do dual, one says they're gonna do string, single. The dual, they might get a better rate on their
Right.
refuse because they're willing to do more work, but some households might not want to do that work and just pay a little higher premium. So I'd say we leave it alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think you want to pigeonhole yourself into anything there, and who knows where recycling takes you in the future. You'd hate to have something written in there and then all of a sudden there's another name for something or who knows what, so.
Yep. How do you guys operate? Do you do single or dual?
We single stream basically anything in Crow Wing County, and then Cass County is dual stream in the areas we provide it, which is really at this point just Pine River.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay, so any other concerns or questions? If not, then I think we should probably vote whether to recommend this to the council. So anyone want to make a motion?
Addendum.
Yeah.
Contingent
so-
on your addendum.
So we'll come back to this at our February meeting with the licensing requirements and an
Mhm.
implementation date.
Okay,
And then the council will approve it. In March.
okay, so then that's what we'll do then. We'll wait till then for the next meeting then.
Yeah, I think that'd
Okay.
probably be best.
I do want to recognize how much work you guys have both put into this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is really just the first stage, hopefully this has the effect that we're looking for to reduce the volume.
I don't see how it couldn't,
We'll know soon, we
Yeah.
should know in a year's time, I guess.
right?
Okay, so that will be put to the side till next meeting. And we do have the next item there is the Legion letter.
Yeah,
For
so,
recycling.
one of the other directives I had from our, last meeting was looking for alternative sites, trying to get an idea, is there anywhere else that would fit the need of keeping the site within the downtown area? And so I did just some basic looking of what lots might be available in town that aren't listed for sale, but could potentially be, and there was, looked like there was maybe some space around the Legion. And so I thought, well, let's ask them if they're interested in either partnering with the city on a site or maybe selling us some land. And so all this letter says is that they're not interested. So,
Can you put that letter up on the board? Whatever reason it didn't get my.
I can read it word for word too, if you want me to.
Oh, there it is. I got caught behind the flat.
Just says no.
Pretty much, yeah. They were polite and everything.
saying no.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they also have the large events and future plans, so they might need the extra parking, so they didn't want to partner with the city at all.
Yeah.
And really, the other areas that we could possibly look at, we would have to purchase.
Yeah, so we wanted to get a little bit of an idea, trying to get a little bit of an idea what property downtown might cost. Well, the
Mhm.
only property for sale anywhere near the existing site is over here by Moxie. I'm not saying that it's suitable for that, but just to get an idea of what property sells for downtown, and each one of those lots that are for sale are $250,000 asking price. They are, each one is probably by itself wouldn't be enough property for what would be needed, so we'd be looking at probably 2 sites. So,
What about between the Legion and the hardware area there?
yeah, I don't know, that's the thing, nothing's for sale, so you have to approach each and every person unless they happen to be watching this and want to sell land to the city, but
But regardless, I know of looking at other properties that they're not cheap.
they're not cheap and there's not many, and then they need to be suitable, you know, they've got to be accessible and.
Right.
You know, we don't wanna take the problem or the perceived problem of the recycling and make it a problem for someplace else.
Hmm.
You know, so we wanna keep it off of other residential streets. You know, we wanna be able to contain it. We want it to be convenient to get at. So,
Mhm.
you know, there's not a lot of places downtown that fit that need.
How much land is on the north side of the fire department? Is there room to be able to put another driveway going around so that the parking lot would be split?
On the north side, I don't know.
Well, there's the fence is right there for the elder care facility.
Yeah, it's not,
Wouldn't be room for that.
I don't think so, no.
I was just thinking of having separate entrances so they were completely segregated, but
What's that? Oh, yeah, that's a tough one there, right? Yeah. Anyway, you know, this isn't by no means does this say that we couldn't locate this downtown, but it just shows that there'd be a great deal of difficulty involved in expense. I think is all I'm trying to say.
Okay.
I guess what I would like to know moving forward is what would this committee like to see us do with the recycling site? I think, you know, there was a sentiment that recycling sitting where it is isn't broken. Well, I respectfully disagree with that. I think we're largely over capacity now, and while I think passing our curbside recycling will help keep that from growing as much, I do think we'll still be over capacity even with that implemented.
Mhm.
It's not like it's gonna drop half the recycling off and we would use half the bins. And Dre, you could chime in on this if you think differently. There's just some issues with it. If you walk behind the community center now where the garbage bins are parked, there's broken glass and all kinds of debris in the grass embedded around that. And if you think about what that community center is used for, it's weddings and so forth, and there's usually kids involved with that. It's also very close to our park, but there's more kids playing. I don't know that we want, I think this site needs to be contained on
Mhm.
asphalt or concrete, and parking bins on the grass is probably not a great thing.
Basically, I don't know if you've heard, but we also had the letter, we did ask the state as well if we could utilize the space behind the fence there to expand that. And they said that they try to be very political about it, I guess, but it's basically a no. I mean, you can, from my understanding, but we would have to prove, what was it? That we needed to
We have to provide an equal amount of land.
somewhere
Similar
else.
Land it has to be, if we want to use that. So the city would have to purchase land to use it.
So that'd be similar to like just purchasing land to put something in there. It's the same problem.
Right, so either way, we're kind of roped into purchasing land unless we wanted to use the first site that we proposed.
Mhm. Right. The first site would not cost anything for the land.
No, the city currently owns that.
Mhm.
So what I'm saying, I guess what I'm asking is do we want to reconsider that proposal and possibly make that recommendation to the city council? Or do we want to wait? What would you like to do?
It's certainly looking more and more like we're gonna have to do something out there. Are we up by the by you guys' place out there? You know, there's no other land. We've exhausted that option. It's evident, I use this a lot, and it's evident that it's just, there's not enough room there. Not bad in the winter, but summertime comes around and I can see the concern of the fire department. I really can. I think we're really gonna have to look at doing that out there. I mean, it's a lot of money, but you know, I don't think we're gonna have any choice.
The other option is just to not do recycling.
There's no other options.
You know,
Yeah.
and I think we've talked about that and people were interested in keeping a site, so. Do you believe that that's still the opinion of this committee, at least, that we need to have a site?
Yeah.
Just chime in really quick. Just something to keep in mind as well. So city of Walker kind of lost their main site up there at the Ace. Used to have, I mean, I don't even know how many dumpsters were sitting there. What they ended up doing is they ended up actually breaking apart their sites as well. They partnered with some of the businesses in the area to say, you know, for example, could Nisswa Elementary house 3 containers? You know, where, you know, maybe folks dropping off their kids would utilize those. And, you know, they started to break it apart in a way that maybe one site just didn't take the burden. They lost the Ace Hardware because he finally said enough's enough. In this case, it's a, you know, a city facility. You won't necessarily have that specifically happening, but you've got, you know, folks against it in that location as well. But just something to keep in mind, if you found 2 or 3 different sites that made sense to just hold, you know, a cardboard, a paper and a commingle, that's something that can be thought of as well.
I've seen people that can't put the right thing in the right bin here when they're all together. So my opinion would be that would not work. Not with our, yeah, it's just you go back there now and they just, people throw anything in these bins and I always worry about losing that because of that. So thank you guys for, you know, for not getting,
Housekeeping has always been a big problem with
yeah,
it.
yeah.
I mean, you guys helped with that a tremendous amount. I mean, prior to you guys coming on board, it was god awful. I mean, it was a mess. I don't know how many of you can remember when it was over here by the pickle. I mean, it was phone calls every week, every day, just a mess. And so I would rather not go into that. I would rather not have it in me personally and my maintenance crew that does a lot of the work for it. I would just as soon keep it all together in one
Yeah.
spot if possible,
Oh, understood. Absolutely.
just for ease of,
Maintenance.
you know,
and
that
care,
costs
yeah.
something, you know, every
Yeah.
time I gotta send 2 guys in a truck out to do something, that costs something.
Right.
So.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
Have we considered checking with any of the businesses in town, like say Schaefer's or the liquor store or something like that, that has a large parking lot where I'm just thinking of this, the Schaefer's parking lot, that southeast corner, there's nothing really over there that I can think of unless I'm missing something.
There is in the summer. That parking lot is,
Right.
it could be so full and then, you know, you got trucks coming in and out getting that. I don't know that.
We haven't officially asked anybody that, but no.
I don't know.
I think at this point right now, there's been, you know, we had the survey. We had a lot of the questions from the last, you know, from previous meetings that we needed to look into. We've got one answer here with the Legion, you know, looking at other properties. And then we got that letter. I was thinking it would probably be best to each question to have what we've discovered for each question. And then to bring that up at the next meeting,
Summary.
a summary.
The other
what
thing we're
has
gonna have
happened.
to consider that we haven't talked about much, if at all, is how to pay for it if we decide to build this.
Mhm.
You know, we
Yeah.
have a rough estimate that, you know, unfortunately has gotten stale probably from its age. I don't know what the project would cost today. We would have
Right.
probably wanna.
And thinking of that, you know, we really can't make a recommendation till we know more about that,
Yeah,
really.
but you know, how are we gonna pay for it? Is it gonna be fees? Is it gonna be on property taxes? I
Mhm.
think that's something we need to have a longer conversation about.
I heard that there might even be a possibility of some sort of grant that we could apply for some grants or something.
I don't know.
Haven't heard that. Don't know.
I
I just heard it in passing. I didn't know if that's possible or not.
the city of Nisswa tends not to qualify for most grants based
Mhm.
on our median income. I'm not saying that there aren't grants out there, but I haven't
Mhm.
personally seen anything that I think fits our need. That
Okay.
doesn't mean they don't exist. I haven't seen any.
Well, if it's all right with you, I think we should probably just look in those items, what, make a summary of everything that all the questions that were asked, what their summary for that is, and include the latest costs. And then I think we can be in a position to make a recommendation.
I will prepare that for our next meeting.
Okay.
Do we have anything formal from the fire department for them? Cause I know, don't they have some issues with that remaining there?
We have a letter, I believe, from the
Okay.
chief. Yeah.
I'm gonna say that,
They're not fond of it staying there.
no, I would assume not, but. It's nice to, if we're gathering all the answers and
Yep.
questions, that you also get some of the letters that are.
Who owns the property down there, at the old airport? South of Holiday,
Stuart Mills,
Yeah.
what are they?
it's not going there.
No, I wouldn't think so.
Okay, then, any other comments about that or? Well, then I'd like to go to the last agenda item, which is any committee member concerns or questions or reports. Do you have anything, Galen
I do not.
and Cam?
Hey, I'm good.
Yeah, my only item I would want to mention is maybe what we talked about, that report that you give for the council for,
Oh,
Public
I did actually
Works.
print those. I tell you what, they're sitting on my desk, I think. I'm probably gonna have to just.
I
take a
mean,
quick
that's
walk
okay
and
for
grab them.
now, but maybe from now on, when we have meetings. It'd be good for us to know that, I think.
Sure. Yeah,
So let's include that every meeting that we come, or,
I thought I had grabbed them. I did print them out, but I apologize. I
okay.
missed them.
And do you have anything, Joe? Anything else, Tom?
No.
Well, then, I'd like to get a motion that we adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
I don't know how long this meeting would have been if you and I were talking.